From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, January the 4th, 2019. Some 10,000 Palestinians took part in violent riots along the Gaza border fence today, burning tires and throwing rocks and explosive devices at IDF soldiers. The IDF also said it prevented 2 attempts to breach the security fence and was responding to the violence with tear gas and live fire when necessary in accordance to the rules of engagement. The Hamas-run health ministry said 15 Palestinians had been injured. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke over the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin today about the situation in Syria in light of the recent U.S. announcement of a withdrawal of American troops. The 2 leaders pledged to work to defeat terrorism and hasten a political settlement in Syria and agree to strengthen their military and diplomatic coordination in Syria. Netanyahu's office said the prime minister told Putin that Israel is determined to continue its efforts to prevent Iran from entrenching itself militarily in Syria. Israel and Russia have a complex relationship when it comes to Syria, as Israel fights to prevent Iran from using Syria to attack the Jewish state, which clashes at times with Russia's support of the Syrian regime. And the U.S. State Department announced 2 visits to U.S. allies in the Middle East today in light of the Syria withdrawal. National Security Advisor John Bolton is departing Washington today for stops in Israel and in Turkey to discuss the withdrawal and how, he wrote on Twitter, "We will work with allies and partners to prevent the resurgence of ISIS, stand fast with those who fought with us against ISIS, and counter Iranian malign behavior in the region." And U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will travel next week to Jordan, Egypt, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and Kuwait. And in Congress, efforts to strengthen U.S. allies in the Middle East, including Israel, Republican Senators Marco Rubio, James Risch, Cory Gardner, and Mitch McConnell reintroduced legislation to the first day of the 116th Congress yesterday, which includes the Ileana Ros-Lehtinen United States-Israel Security Assistance Authorization Act, named for the Republican Florida Congresswoman who recently retired. It would codify the 10-year Memorandum of Understanding on U.S. military aid to Israel, which was reached with the Obama administration. Also in the legislation, the Combating BDS Act of 2019, which protects states that pass laws barring pension funds from groups that boycott Israel. And Republican Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey reintroduced bipartisan legislation in the House yesterday that would set a 90-day deadline for the administration to name an international anti-Semitism monitor. Smith, who co-chairs the bipartisan Congressional Task Force for Combating Anti-Semitism, said we are seeing a precipitous rise in anti-Semitism around the world, manifested through acts of violence against Jews and synagogues, insults, slurs, threats, and criticism of Israel that meets the criteria of what Soviet refusenik Natan Sharansky called the 3 Ds: demonization, double standard, and delegitimization. Former AIPAC chairman Larry Weinberg has died. Weinberg was also one of the founders and original owners of the basketball team, the Portland Trail Blazers. His death was announced on Wednesday by the pro-Israel lobby, who said Larry was instrumental in ensuring that AIPAC had a regional presence throughout the country and in encouraging pro-Israel supporters to actively engage in the political process. Weinberg was 92. Well, Italy is calling on Germany to return a work of art stolen by the Nazis during the Holocaust. The director of the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, Ike Schmidt, is asking for the return of Dutch masterpiece Vase of Flowers by Jan van Huysum, which is presently in the hands of a German family who are demanding payment for the artwork's return. A copy of the painting with the words "stolen" on it has been hung in the gallery in Florence, and Schmidt said the painting is already the inalienable property of the Italian state and thus cannot be bought. The painting, which was hanging in the Pitti Palace collection in Florence from 1824 until the outbreak of World War II, was moved for safety but was stolen by Nazi troops. Schmidt told the Associated Press that German courts have rejected the case, citing statute of limitations. But Schmidt said those limitations should not apply to stolen art during the war. He stressed that this story is preventing the wounds inflicted by World War II and the horrors of Nazism from healing. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, January the 4th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by a concert with Israeli violinist Miri Ben-Ari. At 8, it's a night of Jewish humor from the 92nd Street Y. At 9, it's the film Mama Drama. And singer Ivri Lieder is in the spotlight on Musica at 10:30. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 5:30, it's a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, January the 4th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.